Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Indiana University's Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, presenting Security Matters, with tips for improving online security in 3 minutes or less. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk.
There should never, ever be a way that somebody could commit such a horrendous crime, walk into a police station, confess to it, and walk out the front door.
An Indiana man confessed recently to raping a college student in 1995, but he can't be prosecuted because of Indiana's statute of limitations. Ahead, we talk to the rape survivor about her decision to come forward and make it her life's mission to change the law. Google Glass technology in the operating room.
It really is the next step in delivery of healthcare, from the start of the experience for the patient to the end of the experience.
We talk to the first doctor in the state to experiment with the glass in surgery, how this tiny computer could impact medicine. Those stories and a look at what's making news this week across the state right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Hello, I'm Joe Rennan. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. Indiana is one of only a handful of states that limits the amount of time to 5 years that rape victims have to report the crime. Efforts to expand the time frame or eliminate it altogether have failed to gain any traction in the legislature. But as Sarah Whitmire reports, a grassroots effort spurred by a rape survivor could be the catalyst lawmakers need to revisit the issue.
Jenny Wendt stood outside the State House this week, looking up as blue and white balloons got smaller and smaller in the sky until they disappeared. The balloon release is held each year to kick off Sexual Assault Awareness Month, but this is the first time Wendt's participated. Until recently, she kept her rape a secret.
I told one friend that had been a friend of mine for a long time, didn't get much support, and I told another friend out of necessity.
The rape happened almost a decade ago when Wendt was a student at Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis.
At the time, I did not report it because I figured I had no evidence to prove that it was this man. I had no DNA evidence. Therefore, I knew that if I went to court and tried to prosecute this man, I would have a very hard time, and most likely it would end up in him going free. I wasn't sure that I was ready to be that person in the media who was raped by her college TA.
Since then, she's tried to move on with her life. She graduated from nursing school and was living comfortably in Greenfield when her phone rang.
I actually heard the message from the detective at the college where I attended when I was attacked. She left me a message, and it happened to be on a Friday evening, so I couldn't talk to her until Monday. I knew exactly what it was about. There was no other thing that it could be about.
The detective knew the details. She'd gotten them firsthand from Wendt's attacker. In January, the man walked into an Indianapolis police station and confessed to the rape. He wanted to turn himself in, and Wendt said she wanted to press charges. But it wasn't that simple. Indiana has a 5-year statute of limitations. Wendt's attacker couldn't be charged. He was a free man.
Nobody should be able to walk into a police station and tell them of a horrendous crime that they actually committed. He confessed. He brought it up. I was going about my life. Once I heard this, I decided I needed to do something about it. And that's when I decided that I needed to eliminate this 5-year statute of limitations.
One of the arguments behind the statute of limitations is that years after a crime, it's difficult to find reliable evidence, and someone may end up being wrongly convicted of a crime. Wendt started an online petition to get rid of the statute. Within 2 weeks, she had more than 2,000 signatures.
It's been on our agenda, and so the thought was we didn't want to introduce it back this legislative session. We were focused on some other things. So the plan was originally, before all of this happened with Jenny, to revisit the statute of limitations, and so it was just perfect timing.
With the Indiana Coalition Against Sexual Assault, Wendt is beginning work with legislators and the governor's office. According to RAIN, the statute of limitations is 5 years or less in 8 states. It's 6 to 9 years in 11 states and 10 to 20 in 12 states. In 19 states, there is no time limit for filing rape charges.
I figured we had to start somewhere. To go from 5 years to elimination, I thought was something that was ridiculous to ask. Now, I realize it's not.
Nancy Stockton works with college students who are the age Went was when she was raped. Stockton says there's a problem with underreporting. Fewer than half of rape victims ever report what happened, and removing the statute or eliminating it would encourage more survivors to come forward.
I think they can feel sort of re-attacked, re-victimized in some ways, feel maybe somehow it was my fault after all, or I have some blame in this situation because the system at large is not responding to what happened to me.
I am hoping to give a voice to all those who could not use their voice, and to anybody who is interested in making a change.
For more on Indiana's laws on sexual assault cases, we're joined by Tim Morrison. He's an adjunct professor with the IU Maurer School of Law and the Department of Criminal Justice. He is also a former federal prosecutor. Tim, thanks for joining us today. What are some of the arguments for having that statute of limitations?
The statute of limitations provides a means by which your evidence is of higher quality. Everyone knows about the phrase, justice delayed is justice denied. And that's because that the longer that a case pens, witnesses forget. Evidence gets misdirected, it's not stored correctly, memories fade. All those kinds of things happen, and the quality of the case that you can present is lessened by that fact. So that's one of the arguments. Another argument is basically it's the only protection that a defendant has to force the time along. If you look at the issues of speedy trial, which is in the Constitution, all those affect after you're charged. They don't affect before you're charged. And so the statute of limitations provide at least some certainty out there. If I'm going to be charged, I'll be charged before then. Finally, it provides some impetus. We all work better under deadlines, and the police agencies, if they know that this is the end, that they had better devote the resources and to be able to charge somebody within that period of time.
Now, there are some instances where the statute of limitations does not take case in sexual assault.
Yes, in Indiana, if it's a rape or sexual assault case in which a deadly weapon is used, in which a threat of death is used, in which a drug may be used, all those kinds of circumstances, or serious bodily injury, then there is no statute of limitations on those charges, and that affects both the sexual assault and child molestation.
And nowadays, DNA has come to more and more involved in this. How does that affect this?
Well, there have been a couple of cases in the country in which there's been DNA evidence, but no identification of a defendant. Years go by, they have a DNA profile, they have nothing else. They have no name, no face, nobody knows anything. Then at some point, a person is subsequently arrested, their DNA is seized as a result of that arrest. They go through the databases and they produce that. But it could be outside the statute of limitations. But what some jurisdictions have done is to charge the individual not by name, but by DNA profile. That's what's attached to the warrant. And courts have upheld that as being specific enough to sustain a motion to dismiss because you weren't particular with the identification of the defendant.
We just have a little bit of time left. Can you explain a little bit about the difference on how evidence is looked at through a sexual assault case and other crimes?
It's looked at it much the same way. It's just there's more of it, and it's just more complicated. Usually there's physical evidence, but there's also a lot of witness testimony. I mean, you're trying to track people, before and after the event, and that's why some people would think that that's such a critical issue, because you want to maintain as many defendants or as many witnesses as you possibly can. You don't want to lose them to moving away, to dying, to forgetting, all that kind of thing. And that's why you're trying to compact that up.
So What do you think the likelihood of this being extended will happen?
You know, it's not a constitutional doctrine, so no constitutional court's going to say, you know, you have to do away with this. It's not a judicial doctrine, so the courts aren't going to say you have to have a statute of limitation. It's really up to the legislature, and they're the ones that call the shots, and everyone else will adjust.
Thank you very much for being here today. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Now we go over to Alex Dirkman for a look at this week's top stories.
Thank you, Joe. The FBI has seized thousands of Native American and cultural artifacts from the home of a southern Indiana man. Investigators say the man may have violated international treaties and federal and state laws when he bought the items. As Gretchen Frazee reports, the FBI has been cataloging the artifacts this week.
FBI officials say for the last several months they've been investigating Donald Miller and his collection of thousands of cultural artifacts. Wednesday, they set up a command post at Miller's rural central Indiana home.
I have never seen a collection like this in my entire life except at some of the largest museums.
According to the local paper, the Rushville Republican, Miller was proud of his collection and displayed it in climate-controlled cases. People who've seen the collection say it includes arrowheads, gas masks, even a full skeleton. Miller gathered the artifacts over the last 8 decades as he traveled the world. FBI agents told RTV6 in Indianapolis that Miller acquired some of the items improperly.
We know that he's traveled extensively, and again, we're trying to determine the exact time and method of acquisition.
The FBI declined to comment on the timing of the investigation or why it was initiated.
Officials say the process of determining the origin of each artifact, its age, and the time and manner in which Miller got it will take a long time. The Indiana Department of Transportation is asking companies for proposals on how they would make the Hoosier State Line from Indianapolis to Chicago more cost efficient. Congress cut off $3 million in funding for the Hoosier State Line last year, prompting INDOT and cities along the line to step in with a promise to subsidize the line for at least another year. INDOT officials say new services competing companies could offer include ticketing, station upkeep, and baggage handling.
Or maybe add services, Wi-Fi or food service, things that aren't currently in place today. We're looking to improve the experience, more on-time performance, reduce taxpayer cost, realizing that we'll receive a variety of proposals.
An Amtrak spokesman says officials there are aware of INDOT's plans, but they have no comment. The Hoosier State Line has the fewest riders of any Amtrak line, with less than 37,000 riders last year. Indiana is appealing after the Federal Emergency Management Agency denied its request for assistance to help it recover from winter storms. Indiana asked for assistance for 49 counties last month that sustained damage from the storms that swept through the state in early January. The state will now gather damage assessments from additional counties that were not able to report their expenses to the state in time for the original application. If FEMA reverses its decision, it would provide financial assistance to local governments and nonprofits for money they spent on debris and snow removal, search and rescue, and damage to buildings and equipment. Casey's General Stores announced this week it's opening a new distribution center in Terre Haute. As Jimmy Jenkins reports, the center is expected to create 180 jobs over the next 5 years.
The new 250,000 square foot, $30 million facility will be located in the Vigo County Industrial Park.
We believe Terre Haute provides an excellent strategic opportunity for our operating territory, while also increasing our distribution efficiency and reducing our transportation costs.
Governor Mike Pence praised Casey's as a great corporate citizen and said the cooperation of local and state officials were key to landing the investment.
I think that's going to send a very strong signal all across the country to similar companies that Indiana's open for business.
Construction is expected to start in November, and the distribution center should be open next year.
The company that owned the stage that collapsed in the Indiana State Fair 3 years ago has agreed to pay $50,000 in fines for safety violations. Mid-America Sound Corporation will make 4 payments worth $12,500 each. The agreement also requires the company to develop new safety procedures for future events and provide more training to its employees. Mid-America could still pay out millions of dollars to victims' families, depending on the outcome of pending civil lawsuits. Indiana State Licensing Agency is calling for an investigation into a possible conflict of interest with the Indiana Board of Pharmacy. The Pharmacy Board recently approved a Walgreens pilot program that transfers some of pharmacists' administrative duties to technicians. Board member Bill Cover is Walgreens manager for pharmacy affairs. He did recuse himself from the final vote on whether to approve the program, but watchdog groups say he is still too involved in the decision-making and inspection process. The Walgreens program has since come under scrutiny for compromising patients' private information. The Midwest is likely to experience more flash floods because of climate change. That's according to the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report released this week. Research indicates Indiana and other Midwestern states may not see more rainfall. It will just come in shorter, more intense bursts. That could create serious flooding problems if cities don't have adequate stormwater and drainage systems. It could also create problems for farmers. Less frequent rain isn't good for crops, and heavier rains mean more erosion. And Brown County is working to create a new courthouse expansion proposal after residents there voted to block the proposal last fall. A committee this week presented the pros and cons of two plans. One would renovate and expand the current courthouse. The other proposal would be to build a new courthouse next to the county jail. But the county cannot take any concrete action until at least September because of last year's vote to put the pilot on hold.
It'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
It will.
Thank you, Alex. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk, how Google Glass is being used to change the way doctors perform surgeries. We'll speak to an expert on how he's using Google Glass to train students. Stay with us.
He can swim with whales without missing his bus. She can step on stage with Shakespeare while sitting at her desk.
The great globe itself.
They can travel through time and get back before lunch. Today, learning has no limits. See how millions of students and teachers nationwide are using PBS Learning Media to ignite learning. Visit pbslearningmedia.org.
10,000.
15? 15, you think?
20, 21,000?
600.
20. 18.5.
24.
It's at least 40.
Look at it.
4,500,000.
650.
20.
650.
This textile would be worth about $500,000.
$500,000?
No way.
I knew it. It's just a blanket.
Laying on the back of a chair. Well, sir, you have a national treasure.
Wow.
A national treasure. Congratulations.
I can't believe this.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Dozens of physicians are exploring the application of Google Glass in healthcare, a new wearable device that could potentially replace some medical equipment. Alex Dierkman joins us again.
Yes, Joe, I met with one IU Methodist Hospital trauma surgeon who was impressed with Google Glass when he used it in the operating room. He sees many ways it could be used in the medical field, but unless the device gets FDA approval, its future is uncertain.
If we don't want to use the hands, which we do when we're in the OR, we go look up OK Glass, record a video.
While looking for normal prescription eyeglasses online, Dr. Paul Zotek stumbled across Google Glass, a new wearable technology that displays information similar to a smartphone. Zotek applied to be a beta tester for the new device. Then he waited for 6 months.
I figured, my story wasn't good enough. We told them what we would like to do with it in trauma surgery. We told them what we'd like to do in general surgery. And then ultimately, last November, I got an email from him and was asked to participate, and I, of course, said yes.
A trauma surgeon at IU Health Methodist Hospital in Indianapolis, Zotek is the first doctor in Indiana to perform a surgery using the new technology.
And what the Google Glass allowed us to do is to not take our eyes off the patient and at the same time be able to view the images, so we knew it was sort of a guidance system.
Zotek successfully removed a rare type of tumor from the midsection of a 45-year-old avid runner, husband, and father from Avon, Indiana. Google Glass allowed him to pull the patient's X-ray and MRI photo into his field of view using voice commands during surgery. But Zotek says the real potential he sees for Google Glass is in the classroom. He says the glass can help students see a surgery and learn how to do the procedure through the doctor's perspective.
One of the things you want to do is position the head back. And
Zotek taught me how to intubate, or insert a breathing tube into a victim, by walking me through the steps on a mannequin. But the first time around, I didn't do very well.
Can you see down in there? All right, so you just broke all the teeth. We try not to do that. We try not to do that. All right, so you want to...
Zotek showed me how to insert the tube again, but this time he recorded a video with the Google Glass to show me from his point of view how to insert the instrument.
Okay, and I'm going to get it right underneath the epiglottis. Okay, and so what we can do is then we just slide the tube right in there in the airway. All right, and we're in. Okay.
I put on the glass and then started the video.
So tap it. So you're being able to look at the patient and see everything that I saw when I did that.
From there, I was able to see the steps more clearly. Then I replayed the video as I attempted to intubate the victim a second time.
Put that tube in the right spot.
And we're in.
Commands this way too.
Emerging technology specialist for the University Information Technology Services at Indiana University, Nita Chris Perez, says Google Glass can also be used as a live feed video communication tool.
One of the things Glass can do is you can communicate with people, basically take a video call, and the person at the other end gets a feed of what the person wearing Glass sees. So from that first person perspective with the camera.
With those capabilities, she says, it could even be used on the scene of an accident.
If they were on an emergency run, if they're an EMT, they can have someone give them advice on the fly in this really high stress situation. They can have a backup doctor help them, help guide them in handling the patient.
So that if I'm a physician sitting back in the at the level 1 trauma center, I can actually see the accident or the wreck or whatever it is on the scene. I can help direct the resuscitation from the time that the EMS arrive on the scene all the way until they get to the hospital.
But the future application of Google Glass in healthcare lies with the Food and Drug Administration. FDA regulations determine what is safe for humans.
The FDA hates using ordinary purpose technologies where human contact is involved.
Tablets and smartphones are used in general patient care. You might have seen one the last time you visited the doctor. But thus far, all uses of Google Glass in surgery have not been without backup medical equipment being at the ready.
Okay, Glass. Increase SIVO 2%.
But Kate says Google is in conversation with the FDA on a number of products, and major medical equipment companies like Philips are exploring practical applications compatible with the glass that could replace medical equipment, making the delivery of care easier and much smoother.
Jack Jager joins us now. He's the director of the Rural Health Innovation Collaborative Simulation Center. Could you tell us first briefly about what the center is and who makes it all up?
So the center is a collaborative between multiple partners, including Indiana University School of Medicine, Indiana State University, Ivy Tech, and Union Hospital. Our center has a lot of different kinds of students, ranging from medical students, nurses, physician's assistants, even athletic trainers and exercise science majors. So we have a wide variety of kinds of students that utilize our facility.
And you brought a pair of the Google Glass with us here. Can you talk a little bit about how this is helping students?
Well, what Google Glass does for us is it gives us a first-person point of view way of educating our students. So in our simulations, we have patients and family members and then the care providers that go in and take care of them. And any one of those people could be wearing the glass during our simulations. It could be the patient, so we can see what the patient's seeing when people are taking care of them. It could be the student who's looking around the room and trying to visualize what's important. And immediately following simulation, then we debrief them and they watch the video that they have just taken care of, done. And they get to see what that person particularly thought was important during that simulation.
How valuable is something like this?
Well, it's really a tremendous tool for us. I see lots of different applications that we haven't even thought of really yet. It really is a tool that's going to provide us a way of getting inside our students' heads and seeing what they think is important.
Are there any plans to expand the use of the Google Glass?
We're going to use it in all kinds of different kinds of simulations, mass casualty disasters where we take our simulators out on the road and do like a plane crash disaster, things like that. And so having it in that situation would be very exciting for students to see too.
Well, where's the future of the Google Glass in terms of healthcare?
Well, like Dr. Zotek was kind of mentioning in the piece, that it can be used in an operating room, but you can also use it at a bedside type of setting where a nurse is trying to pull up labs on a patient to see what their intake and output was, for example, or to to just give them general information for teaching. They can actually put the glasses on themselves and watch a video that will instruct them on discharge planning or what have you.
In some of the video we saw, the glass part wasn't there, but
right.
That can be added, of course, as we see in these prescription glasses and goggles too, right?
You can put goggles in them, any kind of prescription, or you can just wear them without the glasses themselves and just have the actual computer that you can look at.
And how much are one of these cost?
$1,900.
And I assume that cost will probably come down as time goes on. We'll see probably more and more of these out just in the general public.
Right. This is not open to the public yet, and that release is coming soon, I think. But right now, Google is using us and several other facilities as Google Explorers to determine what kind of unusual ways that it can be used.
Thank you very much. Fascinating work.
Thank you.
Bloomington firefighters will soon be enjoying fresh produce grown at their own station. Bloomington Mayor Mark Cruzan cut the ribbon at Wednesday's dedication ceremony. He says the idea for the garden came 2 years ago when the city was at the height of studying its sustainability efforts.
When you have an opportunity to showcase sustainability, food security, and honestly, just the fun that's involved with organic gardening, at our own fire departments that serve as role models for the community, it's the perfect fit.
Bloomington-based Abundant Harvest Farms will plant the garden. They are a business offering education and products for organic gardeners. That's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news in Southern Indiana throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Indiana University's Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, presenting Security Matters, with tips for improving online security in 3 minutes or less. And by WTIU members. Thank you.